Is liquid yeast better than dry yeast? If you're a home brewer or just starting to explore the world of beer making, you might be wondering whether liquid yeast or dry yeast is the better choice for your brews. Let's break it down to help you decide. First, let's talk about the durability and storage of these yeasts. Dry yeast is much more durable and has a longer shelf life, often up to 3 years, and it doesn't require refrigeration. This makes it easier to store and ship, reducing the risk of decreased viability due to travel conditions. On the other hand, liquid yeast is more sensitive and has a shorter shelf life of about 3 months. It must be kept cold to remain fresh and viable. This means you need to plan ahead and ensure you have the right storage conditions. When it comes to the health and vitality of the yeast cells, liquid yeast generally has an edge. Liquid yeast has a higher viability rate and vitality compared to dry yeast. This is because the dehydration process for dry yeast can damage the cells, leading to lower vitality when rehydrated. Fresh liquid yeast, therefore, can lead to faster and more consistent fermentations with shorter lag times. Another significant advantage of liquid yeast is the ability to repitch it from batch to batch, which can drastically reduce costs. For example, if the initial pitch of liquid yeast costs $500, repitching it once can reduce the cost to $250 per batch, and with up to 10 generations, the cost can drop to as low as $50 per batch. This is not recommended for dry yeast due to its lower initial vitality and viability. However, dry yeast has its own set of advantages. It comes packaged with nutrient reserves and can be pitched directly into the wort without any prep or fuss. An 11-gram packet of dry yeast contains double the cell count of a typical pack of liquid yeast, making it a more affordable option, especially for higher gravity batches. Liquid yeast, on the other hand, often requires a yeast starter to increase the cell count before pitching, especially for batches with an original gravity of 1.060 or higher. This can add extra steps and costs to your brewing process. In terms of variety, liquid yeast is available in a much wider range of strains, which is why it's the preferred choice for commercial breweries. This variety allows you to try to clone or match commercial styles more easily. Dry yeast, while convenient, is limited to a smaller variety of strains. Finally, consider the risk of contamination. Liquid yeast from high-quality suppliers has a lower incidence of contaminants compared to dry yeast. The processes involved in dehydrating and packaging dry yeast increase the risk of contamination, whereas the production of liquid yeast is more controlled and maintains higher purity levels. So, is liquid yeast better than dry yeast? It really depends on your brewing needs and preferences. If you prioritize higher vitality, the ability to repitch, and a wider variety of strains, liquid yeast might be the way to go. However, if you prefer convenience, durability, and ease of use, dry yeast could be your best bet. Each type has its own set of advantages, so it's about choosing what works best for you and your brewing style.